This episode of the We Know Lanark County podcast is brought to you by the Laura Keller Real Estate Team. Visit laurakeller.ca for all of your Lanark County real estate needs. Now here's your host, Laura Keller.
Okay, it's Laura Keller here with the We Know Lanark County podcast, and I'm here with Emma from the Lanark County Interval House. Hi, Emma. How are you doing today?
Hi, Laura. I'm so glad to join you today.
Good. So Interval House is something that people know about or they don't know anything about it. So just for the people who aren't clear on what you do as an organization, can you share, an elevator pitch about what Interval House is about?
Sure. So Lanark County Interval House is the only anti-violence agency in Lanark County. So we have an emergency shelter for women and children who are fleeing domestic violence. And we also have community programs to assist women in need in our community. And we have an emergency shelter and a second stage shelter as well. So we can help women in need find some housing. And what else do we do? We have our As Good As New store. So I think many people in the community are familiar with As Good As New, but they might not know that the whole store 100% volunteer run, so that all the proceeds can go right to Interval House. So every time you shop there, it directly supports us. So it's pretty awesome.
Amazing. How long has As Good As New been there? Because I remember growing up as a kid, we would be donating stuff there, 30 years ago.
Yeah, it's been there for about 40 years. I think we actually own the building. So they bought the building in the 80s, and we have a tenant upstairs, and so that helps. All that money helps with the building maintenance. So it's pretty awesome. So yeah, they've been there for years, and it's actually our biggest fundraiser for the agency.
I bet. Mm-hmm. I didn't realize you owned the building. So that's such a great a great asset for the organization, for sure. How long have you worked with Interval House?
I'm still pretty new. So I started in July as a student, and now I've been taken on permanently, and I absolutely love it. It's the best place to work.
It is a really good group of people, and I've worked with a few of them intermittently throughout the years, and it's so clear how passionate each of you are about what you do. Certainly you're not in it for the for the money. So just thank you so much for helping women and children in our community. It's such a great resource to have. It's too bad we need to have it, but we're so glad that you're there. What's the history of Interval House or women's shelters in general, and then specifically about Lanark County Interval House?
Yeah, so women's shelters are actually fairly new. They haven't always been around. So I'm pretty sure that Interval House is actually not the first in Ontario, but among the first in Ontario. So we have a pretty long history. So we were founded in 1979 by a group of women, fierce feminists, as we call them, who saw the need in Lanark County. So they had another building, I believe it was on Mary Street in Carleton Place. That was the original shelter before we acquired the building that we use today. So it was just founded by women who saw the need in the community and took that matter into their own hands. And that's still kind of how it's run today.
It is very grassroots, isn't it? Just the vibe of it, and how you interact with the public, and how fierce you all still really are. It's very true. That's a good word for it. What does the funding look like for you guys? Is there government funding, or is it all fundraising, or how does that work?
It's mainly fundraising. We get government funding here and there, but it's not something we rely heavily on. Right. So as I mentioned, As Good As New is our biggest fundraiser, and we get lots of people in the community, and lots of businesses in the community are super generous and give us some corporate sponsorships or some monetary donations throughout the year. And then we typically do some fundraising events like Violet Femmes and Feed the Fight that people in the community really look forward to. But of course, with COVID, we haven't been able to host those in-person events.
I miss Violet Femme.
Yeah. Hopefully next year. Fingers
crossed. I know.
Crossed.
It's one of those nights that just it lets people let loose a little bit. And
yeah, it's a fun night for the community, and you also do some good. So
yeah. Speaking of COVID, how has that impacted the organization and also the people that you serve?
It's had a huge impact. I mean, I think everyone can say that they have been impacted by COVID in some capacity, but yeah, it's had a big impact on our agency. So over the last year, we've been crazy busy. Crisis calls and demand for our services are up over 75%, and our shelter is always full. So I think that's something that is a little bit surprising. I think people don't realize the prevalence of domestic violence and gender-based violence in Lanark County. I think people think it's a small town or a group of small towns and everyone knows each other. And I don't think they realize those kind of things. So a lot of people have been staying safe at home in lockdowns, but other women are, forced to stay at home with their abusers and with less of a chance to escape or to get help if they need. So we've been really busy. We are open 24/7, even throughout lockdown. So if people need us, we're there.
That's good. That's good to hear. If there is a woman in need, what does the process look like? Yeah, luckily I've never had to use your services, but I know lots of women do. But I think the most common question is, where do you start?
Yeah, so if you're in a situation where you need our services or you need help, we have tons of ways that you can reach out to us. So we have a 1-800 number that's 24/7, so you can call that at any point. We have a shelter number. We have an online chat. We have email, because not every woman can call. Like if you're at home with your abuser, you can't always make a phone call. So we have other avenues as well. As soon as you reach out, we will do our best to help you. We have drivers and things that can help you get to the shelter. As soon as you reach out, we will provide whatever you need. So, or as much as we can to help what you need.
Yeah. Is it usually pretty immediate that people need help, or do you help women come up with a plan, or what does that look like? And why would they call you versus the local police station?
Yeah. Actually both. So if it's immediate, we can help them. We often get referred by the police. So sometimes women call the police and then they're connected to us by the police, or the police contact us on their behalf. So that can happen. And if you are wanting to escape, we have resources on our website for how you can start to do those things. But also if you wanted advice, you could always contact us directly as well.
Right. So if somebody was in a situation, maybe they weren't fearing for their life, but they were being hit or yelled at or controlled in some way, you can help them come up with a plan to leave, or...
Yeah, we have different ideas for what they can do to start the process of getting out, because for a lot of women, it's not just as easy as being able to leave. And also some women want to start making the changes, but it's kind of hard. It's often a partner you've been with for years. Maybe you have kids. It's complicated. So it does require some planning. So yeah, we can help with all the planning and or immediate assistance.
That's so good to hear. How does it work with privacy? A lot of these women are local. So how do they stay safe in the small town where they're being abused?
Yes. Well, we have very strict confidentiality amongst our employees. We have a lot of security in place at the shelter. So it is a safe place to be. We also, we do have a close relationship with the police. So we have them on our side if there's need for that. But yeah, confidentiality and security are big concerns for us, and there's something that we take really seriously. So we do have lots of procedures in place to ensure that women in the shelter are anonymous and kept very safe.
Good. I remember a story my mom shared with me that we had some things to bring to the shelter, and my dad was the one who brought the items over, and the story was that he got out of the car in the parking lot and there was just a swarm of the staff coming out to say, like, why are you here? What are you doing? And even the neighboring business coming out and shaking his fist, ready for a fight.
Yep. I mean, we are friendly.
Dad.
We are friendly. If you do want to come drop something off, it is good to give us a heads up first.
I think he learned his lesson. I think that was an eye opener for him. But I think it's such a great thing to know that you guys are there to
Yeah.
to support the women, even from people like a softie like my dad.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure, I'm sure your dad's a lovely man and I'm sure he had great intentions, but we can't tell that just from looking at him. So
I know. I'll never forget that story. It was so funny. Since you rely so much on help from the public, how can other people get involved? Like, what does that look like for you?
yeah, we have tons of ways for people to get involved, whether it's volunteering. We do rely on volunteers quite a bit. As I mentioned, the store is 100% volunteer run, but we have other volunteers in other capacities. I mean, like drivers, maintenance people, the list is pretty endless. Admin help. So if people wanted to volunteer with us, they can email volunteer@lcih.com and we're happy to help out that way. We love volunteers. It is a bit hard with COVID, keeping everyone safe, but we like to know that there are volunteers for when things go back to normal. So we do have a bit of a list on hand for volunteers to help us later, which is awesome. We also have on our website, you can find different ways to donate. We do, Canada Helps is a great one. Tons of different ways to donate online. If you have some clothing, you can always take that to As Good As New, although we are asking during COVID for people to call and make a drop-off appointment ahead of time. We also have our
can donate items right now. That's
right now, no. At the end of the lockdown, yes, we'll be happy to take them at the end of the lockdown. But yeah, we just have people calling ahead. But secondhand donations, I mean, I think people are really keen to have their donations go directly to women in the shelter. But we do have a provincial mandate where we actually can't take secondhand items in the shelter at the moment. They do have to go to the store, but that helps us just as much. Women in the shelter have access to the store for items that they need. And as I said, all proceeds go right to the shelter. So we appreciate donations at As Good As New just as much as things going directly to the shelter or monetary donations. And we do have our fundraiser going on at the moment. So that's another way that people can support us. We every time someone buys a ticket for our fundraiser, it's so appreciated. We really, really appreciate the community support with that initiative because it has been so hard to fundraise, especially when most of our fundraisers are in person. So yeah, we had to take a little bit of a creative route there.
The Laura Keller Real Estate Team is your Lanark County expert. If you are interested in making a move, talk to our team today about real estate in Carleton Place, Perth, Almont, or anywhere else in the Lanark County or Ottawa area. Visit laurakeller.ca for more information.
This is a new thing that I think you guys are doing. Tell me about this, creative fundraiser that you're doing.
Yeah, so we decided to do an electronic raffle. So it's all online. We've never done one before. So it's been a very interesting process figuring out how it works. It's been pretty good learning experience for everyone, I think. But we've managed, and we have a grand prize of $100,000. We're selling 2,500 tickets, and the deadline is June 16th. That's the grand prize draw. So we'd love to sell 2,500 tickets, but as many tickets as possible is great as well. We're just so excited to be able to give that gift of $100,000 back to the community because we really rely on the community, and the community is so amazing. Like Lanark County is such a generous community, and we wanted to do something that would be fun and exciting and give back to the community, but it also helps us as well. All the proceeds go right to the shelter to help us, with our community outreach programs and with our shelter as well.
That's amazing. That sounds really exciting, actually.
Yeah.
People can buy more than one ticket, right? If they want to.
Yeah, absolutely. You can buy as many tickets as you want. No limit. Go ahead. But people are also splitting tickets like with their friends. I know one woman reached out wanting to buy a ticket to share with 5 of her friends. So there's 6 of them going in on a ticket, which is awesome. I mean, that's still a great profit if you win.
Yeah, so. How much are the tickets, Emma?
The tickets are $100 and you can buy them on our website, but We also have people who don't have credit cards or who aren't comfortable buying online. So if people need to pay by check or cash or e-transfer, we can do that as well.
Okay. That's super exciting. So
Yeah.
June 16th, you said, is
June
the draw
16th.
date?
So exciting. I can't wait to see how it ends up. Every time I send someone an email with their ticket, I think like, this could be the winning ticket. Like, it's pretty
Right.
fun.
Yeah, what a dream
Yeah.
come true for somebody in the area, you know?
Yeah. I mean,
It
who
can
wouldn't
change
want
a
to
lot of
win
lives.
$100,000? You can do so much with that. And
Yeah.
yeah, it'd be a pretty great prize.
Yes, I'm anxiously waiting, hoping that my number is called on that
Yeah.
day.
Fingers crossed.
What else is going on in the community? Like I know you mentioned the usual fundraisers that you do, but what else do you take part in? Because I know you're affiliated with some other organizations.
Yeah, we have lots of different things that we can do. Right now, we're working again with, Red Dress Productions. They are in the process of changing their name to Redefine Arts, but to make things less confusing, we'll call them Red Dress Productions
Sure.
for now. So we paired up with them before in 2019 to create this pebble art mosaic. It's beside the town hall in Carleton Place. It's beautiful. And it was a collaborative event or activity, I guess, with the community. So the community members can have their say or contribute some art and words and, their story. And Anna, the lead artist, puts them together to create a pebble mosaic that's unique to our community. So it's really cool. And it's to honor survivors of gender-based violence. But it's a great place. Like, we use that place to gather now for Take Back the Night. But this one is going in Mississippi Mills in Almont somewhere. I think the council and the community members there are still voting on where the location is going to be. So we don't know yet, but that's a pretty good one. And we are still looking for community members to be involved in this one. So you don't have to be good at art. You don't have to be an artist. You don't have to be a survivor. You just need to be someone who, supports survivors and supports people who have experienced violence. So it's pretty great. You get an activity kit. It's all done virtually. And then Anna will take all the kits, put them together, and a unique art piece will be made. And it's just a great place to gather and great for public education as well, to remind people that it is an unfortunate reality that there is violence in our communities.
Yeah. One of the things you mentioned early on that we sort of glossed over, you have the emergency shelter, which most people know about, but you mentioned the second stage housing. So what is that? I know Remax in Carleton Place were one of the sponsors of one of the rooms, but so I know what it is.
Yes.
A lot of people who don't. So what does that look like for you?
Yeah, so second stage is amazing. So basically, it's kind of it bridges the gap between the shelter and going back to living on your own. So women are on their own, they have apartments, but they are still supported by Interval House. So they pay rent and everything. Like, it is just like having an apartment, but it's a safe space, and it's somewhere that they can go before they are ready to be on their own, or if they don't have. It's really hard to find housing right now, especially affordable housing. So it's a great place. So we have 6 units, and it's just, it's just for people who are leaving the shelter, because we would love to, but we can't have people stay there forever. So it's just kind of the next step after leaving the shelter.
And how long do people stay in the second stage units?
Yeah, so they can stay there for a year. I think due to COVID, we have had people stay there a little bit longer, but the idea is for a year, and then you're back out on your own in the community. Of course, still supported by Interval House to whatever degree the women want to be or need to be. But yeah, it's just a safe space before you branch out on your own again and start maybe a new life or a new chapter of your life.
So during that time, that support would be like therapy or
different outreach programs. Yep. It's also a pretty secure facility with their security. So it's, still good for people who might have some risk.
Right.
Yeah.
And for women who who are just, like you said, starting a new life, does that like help them get work, or is there training involved, or how, what does that look like?
No, it's just housing.
Okay.
So we can help people in many ways. So, but yeah, for work and things like that, that's not really what the second stage does,
Okay.
unfortunately.
But you connect them with people who
Yeah,
can help with
we
that
can
part.
help as much as possible. So
Yeah. Are there plans for future more housing or more shelters, or what is that?
yes, there is. I'm not sure. I don't think it's been officially announced yet, so I don't know what I'm allowed to say about it. But we do have another exciting third stage coming, or we have actually have a couple of residents there now in Perth. So that is it's okay. Well, second stage is independent living, but third stage is really like we don't, you know, we're not really involved.
Right.
It's our building for them to live in, but it's just, you know, like a regular apartment building. So
Yeah, it's nice to have a little bit of spread out in the community, because
yes.
Lanark County, for those people who aren't familiar with it, is quite a large
Yeah.
geographical area.
Lanark County is huge. So it's nice. Like, I mean, Carleton Place, great, but it's
Yes.
nice for people who aren't from Carleton Place
Yeah.
or who, you know, who might be from other areas or who might want to stay closer to the area that they're from. It's nice to be able to have different things in all of Lanark County to make sure that people know, you know, we do represent all of Lanark County, not just Carleton Place.
And even because so much of the area is rural, like we do have towns, obviously, but people
Yes.
in rural communities are already isolated.
Yes.
And for women and children in those situations, it's such a nice thing to have, that they know that there's support near them, because Carleton Place in Perth is a 30-minute drive from one town to the other, and there's
Yep.
a lot of rural area in between.
A
So
lot in between.
I'm sure for kids going to school and being
Yeah.
close to where they're used to being, it's so nice to have. Um, what else is coming down the pipe for Lanark County Interval House?
That's a good question. I don't really know much else that's coming down. I mean, there's always things going on, but I
I'm
don't
sure
know of
Erin's head
anything.
is always full of ideas.
Yes. Yes. Erin has tons of great ideas. Let me try to think what's coming up. I feel very out of the loop from working at home.
Yeah,
So
of course. So Erin's
um,
the director, right?
yes, Erin's the executive director. She's amazing. She's absolutely incredible. She did just win an award.
Oh,
Yeah, for providing support for women throughout COVID. So she was one of
wow.
15 people in the province to win, which is like absolutely
My God.
incredible and so well deserved. She's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah. How long has she been with the organization? Do you know?
I don't know, but I think it's been a
A
long
long time.
time.
Um, uh, so she's the executive director, and how is it run otherwise? Like, I know you have staff, but there's a volunteer board as well, right? That helps to make decisions. Is that
Yeah, we
how it
have
works?
our board, which is amazing. They're actually recruiting right now. So if anyone wants to be on the board for Interval House, we're welcome to have you. We're recruiting board members and a secretary. So the board is amazing. They help us make our decisions. Then we have we're all a team, but we have two teams, the crisis team and then the admin team that help keep things running at Interval House. So there's a lot of us, and yeah, everyone is so passionate about helping women in our community. So it's every day I'm kind of amazed by things that people I work with do and
Yeah.
how they get things done.
For all the negative stuff that you see in a day, there's a lot of positive as well.
Yes, there's so much positive, and I think that's something really encouraging. I have had people tell me like, oh, it must be sad to work at Interval House. I'm like, well, sometimes it's eye-opening, definitely, but it's a lot of good. I mean, women are being empowered to help themselves, and what's not to like about that? So
You do have a lot of success stories, and of course they're not
absolutely.
all public because
No.
not many women want to advertise what they've endured. But
Yeah.
I know there are so many women and children who are impacted positively
Yes.
by
Yes.
what you do and how the community is supportive, and
Yeah. And
just
it's
such
a
an
really good,
incredible place.
yeah, it's like a daily reminder of how strong women are and can be. So
Yeah.
even if we need a little help sometimes, we can get through anything, and the resiliency we see daily is just incredible.
Yeah. If people are curious about joining the board of directors, is there information on your website, or
Yeah, there's
can you tell me
information
what
on
the
our.
time commitment looks like? I know that's always a big question for people.
Yeah, I'm not sure about the time commitment, but the board is amazing and they're pretty involved. I know I'm sure they meet regularly, but I'm not sure if it's weekly or monthly.
Right.
But they are pretty awesome, the board. So if people are interested, they can go to our website, but also they can send an email directly to board@lcih.com, and they'll give them more information, or they can apply and get the process moving to join us.
Oh, that's so great.
Mhm.
We're just about to wrap up, so I just want to make sure that we have all the information from you. So what's the website for Lanark County Interval House if people want to go check it out?
Sure, it's www.lcih.org.
And if women want to call in because they're in an abusive situation or they have questions, what's the best number for them to use?
There's two different numbers. So there's the 1-800 number, and there's the shelter number if they're just curious, or if people have questions, they're always welcome to call. We have them on our website and on our social media, but I can give them to you just in a second.
Just in case people are listening.
Yeah. So if you want to call our 1-800 number, it's 1-800-267-7946. And then our regular number is 613-257-5960. But the 1-800 number is 24/7. There's always someone to answer the phone. So it doesn't matter the time of day, people can get a hold of us.
That's reassuring.
Yes.
Just as we wrap up, Emma, I just have a couple of quick questions for you that kind of ends our time with a little bit of fun. The first one is what's the best piece of advice you've ever gotten or given out, and whether it
Ooh.
relates to your personal life or work, or what does that look like for you?
That is a really tough question. I can't say. It's like kind of sad that I can't say right away what the best advice I've ever given is.
Well, you still have lots of left to live. There's lots of
Well,
lessons to be learned for
hopefully.
sure.
But some good advice, I think, is I think it's always good, and I mean, this isn't, I don't know, necessarily advice that I've received, but it is, advice that I think is important, and I think everyone should remember. Not just don't give up. I mean, I think that this is something that comes up all the time at Interval House. I think a lot of women want to give up when they're in these kind of situations, but don't give up, because help is always there and things can always get better, even when it seems like they can't. So I think that's something important for people to remember, no matter what situation that they're in. And yeah, there's always someone to help you, even when it seems like there's not. So
Yeah.
just reach
Especially
out.
this year when we're,
Yeah.
everybody's struggling, even if life
Yes.
is good,
Yeah, it's so nice. I think this year has been really hard for everyone, but I think it's really nice also to see the positives, and that we can see how much our community has come together and how many people are willing to help each other. So, yeah, I think that even though this year has been a lot of negatives, it's
Yeah.
good to see the positives, and you can see the unity and the community that we have here.
Yeah, that's true. And then my last question for you is, what is your favorite hidden gem in Lanark County?
Ooh, that's a good one.
Store or or a trail or?
In gym. Well, I am a Carleton Place girl. I'm from here. I've lived here most of my life. So I spend a lot of time in Carleton Place, and there's tons of things to do. I love all the walking trails. My favorite park is the one on Bell Street, kind of just down from the waterfront gastropub. I don't think a lot of people know about it, and I don't think a lot of people go there, but it has great views. And it's a good place for picnics. And I think there's lots of good food places. I think it's not a hidden gem, but I am a big fan of the Good Food Company. So highly recommend in case there's anyone who hasn't tried it.
I know. My mouth is watering now. I haven't had lunch yet. So I think it might be time to give her a call. And Petra was also featured on the podcast before as well. So
really?
It's a good reminder for people if they haven't been yet to go check it out.
Try it out. I mean, there's tons of other good places, but I would say that's my favorite.
I'm with you on that. Well, thank you so much, Emma, for joining us here on We Know Lanark County, and look forward to talking to you again soon.
Well, thank you for having me.
It was so nice to chat. We'll talk to you later.
Okay.
Okay. Bye, Emma.
Bye.